Hi, did you do it? Did you reach out to your top 10 prospects or dream teamies using your third-party tool? I sure hope so. And if you're waiting to hear back still, I am so proud of you for pushing past that fear and into action. In this video, we are going to be chatting about what to do next. So you have someone that you reached out to, you invited them to learn about the opportunity, they have watched a third-party tool, and now what? Specifically, what do you say to them once you've confirmed they've watched your third-party tool? How do we move them on to the next step in the process? Either a next presentation or a next exposure or even to a close. Okay, now before we get to what you should do, this is a concept where we can sometimes fall into the valley of death. And once I go over this, a lot of you are going to realize this is where you're stuck. This is where you have been doing it all wrong. And don't worry, because instantly, with a few tweaks, you are going to find better results. In the last video, we talked about removing yourself as the presenter, removing yourself as the expert, and instead presenting a third-party tool. And guess what? In this next step, in this follow-up, again, we are going to utilize a third-party tool. We are going to remove ourselves as the closer, remove ourselves as presenting the next presentation on the opportunity. The biggest mistake that people make during this point, during this step, is they try to answer all of the questions themselves. They try and reestablish themselves as the expert. We don't want to do that. And that's why this spot right here is called the Valley of Death, because it is where prospecting for so many network marketers falls into the pit of death. That's a little exaggeration, but you know what I mean. Let's back it up and review two really important concepts. One, the less you say, the more you make. And two, whenever you are demonstrating what you do, whenever you're talking about what you do or presenting or sharing about what you do, you want to make sure it is simple, that it looks simple, that it presents itself as simple, that the person that you're presenting it to sees it as something that's simple. 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 One more time for those in the back. Simple. And so if we go into expert mode, we revert to answering all the answers ourselves, immediately brakes go on. This is no longer simple. Someone who's thinking about joining, it's no longer simple for them because they don't know all this stuff. They don't know all these answers. They don't know the comp plan that well. They don't know the products that well. They don't know how to make a skin quiz or anything like that. So pump those brakes and keep it simple. Because at the end of the day, it's not about demonstrating that you don't know. It's not about demonstrating that I'm not the expert. It's not about having to find that YouTube clip or tag them in a group or anything like that. What it's about is you demonstrating the simplicity of the business you are in. You are demonstrating that our team, your team, has it all laid out and ready for anyone who wants to jump in that driving seat and go along for a ride. So in this step, you must use a third-party tool. You must hold yourself back from answering all those questions and simply share a third-party tool. And this is key, this is crucial for duplicating and for growing your team. Because while you do this to your prospects and your recruits, they are learning from you that when they join, that they do this too. And that's how you duplicate. Okay, so now that you know you're going to share another third-party tool, I bet you're wondering, how does that conversation look? How do I go about? What do I say when I follow back up? Well, one, you could say, hey Mare, I am curious. What did you like best about what you heard? Tell me two things that you liked about what you heard. Just start the conversation about, tell me something that you liked about what you heard in that presentation. now we understand, hey, they liked this, they liked that. The second thing you're going to ask them is, are you interested in learning more? Are you curious to learn more? Pro tip, I highly recommend scheduling this follow-up. So what I do is, hey, I'm gonna send you this video, and when do you think you'd be able to watch it by? Oh, I'll probably be able to watch it by Thursday. Okay, great. I'm gonna send you a message, or why don't we jump on the call? How is like 8:30 on Friday evening after we put the kids to bed? Would that be a good time to check in with you and give you enough time to watch that video? Yes, sure, great. Now you have your follow-up scheduled. You're gonna call Mare back Friday at 8:30 after the kids go to bed, and you're gonna ask her, 1, I'm curious, tell me 2 things that you liked about what you heard. You get those 2 things from her, and then you say, that's awesome. Would you like to know more? Would you like more information on that? Hey, you said you liked X. I could send you more information about X, right? It's all about sharing third-party tools and capturing their interest. And then setting that next set time, right? I'm gonna send you this video. When do you think you'd watch it by? Great, I'll give you a call, or I'll follow up with you the day after that. How's this time? Great, now you've got your follow-up scheduled. If the answer is no, that's okay. Simply move on. Accept the no as a not right now and move on. Here's the thing. We are sorting through people, okay? Think of it as bobbing for apples, and we are looking for ripe apples, okay? And we are going through, we are sorting through the apples, and there is a rotten one. And we want so bad for this rotten one to be red and ripe and juicy, and we are telling ourselves stories in our head. If I could just convince this rotten apple that it is gonna be a juicy one, then sky's the limit, right? Sky is the limit with my rotten apple. And we put that rotten apple back in the bunch. Here is the thing I know about rotten apples. They start to spread. That rottenness starts to spread through this bunch, okay? So instead, we wanna come across that rotten apple. Even though we might be telling ourselves that this rotten apple could be a gem, we're gonna take that rotten apple out of the bunch right now. Because there's so many more apples in here, and we need to continue sorting through them and presenting them with these third-party tools to see, hey, I'm curious. What are 2 things you liked about this? And continuing to move them through the process. There is an equation, okay? 10, 80, 10. 10% of people are going to want to go on to the next presentation. 10% of people are gonna be curious. 10% of people are gonna be interested, okay? 80% of people are gonna fall into the not right now category. Not right now. 10% of people are gonna fall into the rotten apple category. And we just simply need to take them out of our pool. We need to take them out of our apples that we are sorting through. So beware of the rotten apples. I'm just gonna let you know, many of them probably have the same last name as you. And we don't wanna invest too much energy and time in them because it's a lot of your energy. And when your energy gets sucked into something that's not productive, that's when we allow the fear to creep back in. That's when we allow the overwhelm to creep back in. That's when all of a sudden, we're paralyzed in this spot. So let's take those rotten apples out and let's focus on our green apples. Green, we haven't talked about green yet. So green apples are curious. This is where you're gonna spend the most of your time. The majority of your time is gonna spend with these green apples who are curious. They're the ones who you are gonna continue to share third-party tools on the opportunity with, and this is good. Green is good, remember that. So if someone watches a video and you feel like it's a little stagnant, right? Tell me 2 things and they're just kind of flat. If someone has questions, or even if they have some objections, what you could ask them in this little green state is, just curious, on a scale from 1 to 10, 1 being, nope, not for me, not interested at all, 10 being, where do I sign, how do I partner? Ask them, just curious, on a scale from 1 to 10, where do you fall? And they'll tell you. If it's anything over a 1, girl, that's great. Anything over a 1, that means they got some interest. That means they have some intrigue. That means we have something to work with. So they come back with, I'm a 3. Here's how you respond. Okay, so you're a 3 right now. What do you think it would take to move to a 4, 5, or 6? Always come up with the next 3 numbers in that sequential sequence. So if they're a 4, what do you think it would take to move to a 5, 6, or 7? What would it take? And when they tell you what it would take, this is when you are armed. You've got the third-party tools, or you've got a 3-way chat or a 3-way call, maybe an opportunity Facebook group, or a post you could tag them in. This gives you what you need to do next. You are gonna ask your prospect to tell you, what do I need to do next? What do I need to tag you in next or include you in next? They are gonna give you the key to unlocking their potential. Remember, the goal is always to have a next set appointment, either a next third-party tool that you're gonna share. Maybe it is a group chat with a teamie or an upline. It all comes down to just more touches, more exposure. It takes between 5 to 10 exposures, experience, touches, whatever you want to call them, but it takes between 5 and 10 on average for someone to say yes. And by following this process, you're gonna build momentum through the process. You're gonna build momentum through your follow-ups, through your sharing. Focus on education. Don't focus on the sell. Don't focus on the close. Focus on educating, sharing, presenting. This is also a great opportunity to share your personal experience with your prospect. Or better yet, if there is someone on your team, maybe it's a sideline, who has a similar experience, a similar background, has a similar current circumstance or circumstance they were in, it is a great opportunity to connect these two people. It's a great opportunity to have a 3-way chat or a 3-way call, right? Your job is to move your prospects through this process with energy, enthusiasm, and an urgency. Okay, and I'm gonna leave you with 2 last tips, okay? 1 is, don't listen to what people say, listen to what they do, okay? Did they watch your third-party tool? Did they respond? Their willingness to take the next step is demonstrated through their actions. Okay? And number 2 is to always assume positive intent. So many times we send Mary a message. I don't know, I've got Mary. Anyway, we're sending Mary a message. So many times we will send Mary that message and maybe we don't get a response. And immediately our minds go to, I annoyed Mary. Mary's ignoring me. Mary's not interested. Mary hates what I do. Mary's an anti-direct sales person. Gosh, I can never message Mary again. I'm embarrassed. Why am I doing this? You can see how this starts to just become this tornado and evolve into a negative mindset and negative process. This is where we really see our limiting mindset instead of an abundance mindset. Instead, remind yourself, Mary's a mom. Mary has 3 kids. Mary has a job. Mary has a husband. Mary has a household. Mary has friends. Mary has soccer pickup. Mary has so many things on her plate. And to us, to me, who sent Mary that message, this is a high priority. But to Mary, who might not see the full potential of the opportunity, this is a low priority. And so if you don't get a response, don't freak out. It just means that maybe Mary didn't see the message. Maybe Mary got that message right before she was putting her 2-year-old to bed and she forgot to reply. Just send her another message. Hey Mary, it's been a couple days. I just wanted to make sure that you got my last message. Another thing that people will do that really works well is they'll go back into Mary's last comment and double tap it. That might bring her back to your chat. But always remember positive intent. And last but not least, if they don't respond after you follow back up, it's just a not right now. It is just a not right now. So keep going through those apples, keep working those green apples, and you are gonna find so many reds along the way. That's all I have for you guys. Thanks so much for watching, and we'll chat soon.